What's that?
I'll save it. I don't know when people actually work.
Yeah. There's too many Zooms.
It's all Zooms.
It's all Zooms.
It's like my life is just Zooms and then more Zooms.
One big Zoom.
And then some Zooms.
Yeah. Well, it's another Zoom day. It's Thursday, July 29th, 2021. This is the Producers Happy Hour. Two producers on opposite coasts chatting over drinks about what it means to be a goddamn good producer. I'm Lawrence Lewis. I'm in Los Angeles.
And I'm Sister Christian in New York City. And today we are chatting about this standoff between IATSE and the AMPTP as they negotiate for a new contract.
That's a lot of letters.
So many letters.
So we're going to talk about that, but we also want to hear from you. So join the conversation at producershappyhourgroup.com or email us at producershappyhour@gmail.com. Send us your questions, your comments, your ideas for show topics, anything you want. I know we haven't been very active on the Facebook group, but email us and we'd love to chat.
No, but I can say that we got a very delicious fan letter the other day.
Is that what they call
and
them?
it made our days. So please take a moment, send us some hate mail. I don't care, just anything. Let us know you're listening. And also it would be huge favor if you go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because it really helps other people like you find this show.
It does. And if you have any questions for us as two producers, join us for office hours. Like we've been saying, we believe in mentorship and sharing information in this business, and it's more important now than ever. So if you're new to the industry or stuck somewhere in your career and need some advice, hit us up. Same email, producershappyhour@gmail.com.
Come on, let us know you'd like to have some office hours with us.
Yes,
Fine.
and with a cocktail, of course.
Let us tell you, I know exactly. Let us tell you all about how to solve your issues.
Well, or at least how to get through them.
No, we can tell you about it.
We can tell you about it.
Or listen.
Yeah.
Or that it's even good advice. So, well, Lawrence, it has been a little while since we've seen each other.
It
What
has.
are we drinking today?
I'm drinking LA's finest tap water today.
I know. I thought I would have a good old dry day, which is few and far between these days. And I'm having a pomegranate cherry sparkling water by Canada Dry.
Oh, lovely.
The sponsor is accepted.
Sponsorships are accepted, yes.
Yes,
well,
please.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to a dry day because, I don't know. I know, obviously, we've been down for 2 weeks. We haven't been on, and it's just simply because we've been busy. I was shooting in Arizona, and you've been busy on your projects, and, life of producers. So, obviously, our schedules have been packed. Not drinking on a Thursday to get me through the week seems like a better option right now.
Yeah, and I feel like I will probably drink Friday and maybe part of the I have weekend plans, out of town weekend plans. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, there'll be some shit happening on Saturday night. Shout out to Tara Dolak and her pig roast. We're gonna safely get together upstate New York. Everybody's staying in hotels.
Amazing.
And we're going to roast a pig.
Wow.
And, safely eat it around people. I'm very nervous, but I'm excited. So it's going to be good.
Great. Wonderful. So what's been going on with you? Like I said, we were busy. I know I was busy in Tucson. What have you been up to?
Well, I have had a series of jobs. I've also been, as everybody knows, if you've been listening, in Kentucky multiple times because of 4th of July. I was doing something in Montana. It's been all over. And so I know we actually haven't had personal time to catch up in between those times, too. I think all of our texts have been like, I need help with this.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Do you know anyone who can do this?
Uh-huh.
And the last few weeks have been a roller coaster. So I'm happy to be back in New York and working from home. Although, as our beginning alluded to, it feels like now more than ever, our lives, or my life for sure, is nothing but Zooms, and I have no time to do the work in between the Zooms.
That is very true. It's really changed the game, I think, in terms of what our pre-production life looks like. Especially like if you're on a 8-hour callback session, which seems like all my callback sessions are 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours. and
That's disgusting.
it's really, it's, it's like, I'm at some point, guys, I'm going to have to hop off because I got to make some phone calls, it's like,
Well, I mean, I was on one, I've been on, and so I have a weekly one for a large job that I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that the client gets on and they talk to each other about the meetings that they need to set up. And then I'm sitting there going, do I need to hear this? Like, why am I here? Is this a catch up? Like, this is a catch
Yeah,
up for them,
for them.
not for me. And there might be one thing out of it, but my hour could have been way more productive. It's an hour. So like it could have been more productive actually either doing all the things that I needed to do or taking a break that I need.
Yeah.
Having a lunch,
Having a
not having
lunch.
to
Uh-huh.
mute the phone to go use the restroom. Like
Yeah.
the scary part to me right now is that things are evening out in a way at this high level that is not healthy at all.
Mm-mm.
So, I've been talking about it for months about the anxiety and the overworked and the feelings, but now it feels like, okay, so I'm used to it.
Yeah.
So is this the high level that of anxiety and pressure and work output that I'm going to be working at now because I got used to it?
Ugh. Yeah,
I
that's
know. And so it's just something to, continually examine, I think.
yeah, it is. And the more and more I talk to people, even just different crew members, everyone's kind of going through it. It's a lot. Zoom calls sound like they're no big deal, but when you have to sit and stare and be on camera and looking at a bunch of other people on camera and trying to have these fruitful conversations, it's exhausting. It's really emotionally exhausting.
Or at least listen to see if you can be fruitful.
Or at least listen to
because
see
if
if
you're
you.
not paying attention, I know.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really the maintaining that kind of focus on a Zoom call is challenging, rather as opposed to being in a room where you actually can hear and engage and talk and it's much more dynamic. And like I think it points to our conversation on our last episode, why versus why not, asking people why we're so used to why not, but why do we need another Zoom call for you two to catch up? Can this not be an email? Can this not be a text exchange? But no, everything these days is a Zoom call. And I think the days of our cell phones landing in our hands and all of a sudden being available 24/7, now Zoom calls, you can, even if you're on vacation, you are expected to still be on a Zoom call because you can Zoom from anywhere.
Right. And a different industry, the restaurant industry, right? I went down a rabbit hole last night of a ton of readings and delicious comments. And, restaurants right now are having a shortage of workers.
Yeah.
And the general consensus is like, yes, I can make more on unemployment, which should be a cry to the restaurant industry about how much they pay their employees.
Yeah.
Understanding that the $2 that they make an hour or whatever the minimum wage is, plus the tips, just it's like, why am I going to go back and take the abuse that I took before and not be able to make the money that I was making? And we're short staffed. And it was just all this list of things. And I'm not blaming restaurant owners because believe me, the margins, I understand
margins
the margins
are so
very
slim.
thin. But additionally, the consumer pays the salary directly to the staff, essentially, when they're only making $2 an hour. And and consumers can be assholes. Most of them are.
Yeah.
They expect, I know. And so when your whole industry is built on that, I think it's time for an overhaul. And it's just very similar to what we have to, it's like this freelance model of working ourselves 24 hours a day and not really benefiting from the freelance model.
Right. Yeah.
of choosing our jobs.
Wait a minute. I thought that was part of the
I can
benefit.
Take vacation anytime and all the things that we say, the reason why we're freelance, we never do.
Yeah, I was speaking to a crew member who shall remain nameless about,
who?
Smith.
Spill the beans.
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith.
Or Mr. or something in between. Who was like tired of these jobs being all disasters. And
Me too.
And decided that they're going to raise their rate. They're raising their rate to $7.50, and their phone's ringing off the hook, and they're kind of tired of taking jobs from people they don't really know, and then you get the budget and the schedule, and it's
so
like,
smart.
this is a nightmare. Why am I doing this? And then you've already committed, and so no. So, $7.50 new rate, and when one of your regulars calls, make yourself available for them.
Right. No, that's so smart because that is, I mean, it cuts the riffraff.
It
And I
does.
just saw CoPro's argument about this yesterday. Well, not really an argument, but a back and forth about, is it safe to bid 550 for 10 for New Jersey workers? And I held myself back to not say, what are you talking about?
As long as you have your time machine.
It resolved itself. But
Okay.
even the sense of the question was interesting to me because 550 for 10 is what Radical paid
Oh,
in 2005.
yeah. They were the ones holding
So
out,
when
right?
you're asking about 17 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
crew rates, when you're asking about that, of course there's always somebody willing to do it, but that's the crew member that you spoke to's point. Yes, there's always somebody willing to do it at this, but I'm not anymore, and I'm worth this.
Yeah, and that was a part of our conversation, was like, this, I'm worth this. I know what I bring to the job. These
Oh God,
jobs,
yes.
these jobs would fall apart even more if I wasn't involved. They still fall apart.
I'm literally
I'm literally
duct
just,
taping the
yeah, the
dumpster
side
together.
of the boat.
I mean, that's very familiar feeling.
Oh, God, those are not good feelings, and I don't enjoy them anymore. But, pick and choose your
Listen,
jobs
Phoenix.
wisely. I think what's that?
Listen, Phoenix.
But yeah, so speaking
We'll
of,
always remember Phoenix.
we'll always remember Phoenix. Speaking of picking and choosing your jobs and having a better work-life balance, is this standoff between IATSE and the AMPTP. Shall we talk about it?
Yes.
We had to have the bumper.
Yes. I did read the article.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm happy they're taking the stand against the new media contract.
Okay. I 1000% agree
Yeah.
with this because it's not fucking new media anymore. It was
No.
new media in 2013-ish.
Yeah. 2010. So they've been, so many jobs have been getting away with going on this new media contract, saying it's, oh, it's for the internet. It's not actually broadcast, but like internet is now broadcast. This is the new broadcast.
Right. Streaming is broadcast. So
Streaming is, yeah.
for broadcast, for broadcast to only be considered, ABC, NBC or cable is just dumb.
Oh yeah, totally. Completely dumb. This article, I'll put it in the show notes. It's by Deadline, our favorite industry publication.
No.
But yeah, they're in the middle of negotiating a new contract. Now, this is for AMPTP, so that's motion pictures and television. And they're talking to the West Coast studio locals about livable wages, shorter work days, and sustainable benefits for the members, and also the end of this new media contract, the end of the discounts for the new media contract. And they're taking a pretty firm stance because their approach, based on this article, is that they're working for these mega corporations, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook. And even though those organizations aren't directly signed to the bargaining agreement, they're still working through production companies that are creating a production company that is for that one job. And so they all should be paying the industry standard wages professional crew rather
and
than
turnaround times
and turnaround
and
times.
all of that shit.
Yeah.
But here's the reason. But hold on, I'm going to take a step back and just inform the audience that the reason why that these streaming services go through production companies is they have to do the jobs union because of SAG. And SAG has really gotten out there and said, okay, they're really the forefront of trying to protect people, but they really also have the worst new media contract that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I know, like, when you can pay an extra $97 a day, it's insane to me. I know, like, barely minimum wage, right? And you can find people who are willing to do it, obviously. You can always find people who need the money and need the job. So because you can't be a signature through the streaming services, you hire a production company that is.
Mm-hmm. Or you create one.
Or you create one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember back in my day in films, we created back in my day of filmmaking, you create an entity just to produce that one movie, and then you dissolve the entity after that. But this is a good conversation because they are talking about, the science behind long hours and irregular hours and how that affects people's health and welfare. And that's an important aspect to this. They want to make sure that they understand, that the producers understand the negative impacts on health and well-being after, making people work 14 hours a day.
I know. I mean,
with a 45-minute lunch
without
break.
Proper turnaround. Yeah. Without proper turnaround and without proper breaks. And I'm sure because, if they're already paying lower rates, that means they're already paying lower catering services. It can't be the best.
No.
You're probably at a location that is a far drive because you can't afford the good stages in Hollywood.
No,
or
you're in Santa Clarita.
Yeah. So, those Long Beach dwellers, you're still in the zone. Yeah, I just there's so much involved, and I know that we can't help where people live, but the zone actually should be rethought too, in my opinion.
It should. So to that end, these locals are demanding a real and meaningful rest period between leaving and returning from work, regardless of the craft or production. It affects us a little bit in commercials, but at the end of the day, how many shoot days are we doing? 3, 4,
It affects
7?
us a lot in commercials, and I'll tell you why. Because crew members I'll tell you why, Lawrence.
Please.
Because crew members work only shoot days.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And they're going from job to job just on the shoot. Yeah, exactly. It does affect them.
And if the job goes long the night before and you have a 6 a.m. call time, I mean, your gaffer's going to show up no matter what. And that sucks.
That sucks.
I mean, it does because, they could just drive. I've had people drive straight to my set and sleep in their car until it was time to go in.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's what happens whenever you're freelance and you have 3 to 5 shoot days a week that are 3 to 5 different jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, then on features and television, they get ground down as the week goes on. And
they just keep bumping call times and they call it
Fridays,
right?
So you actually don't get. So that's the other thing. They want to make sure that there is a weekend rest period that allows for actual rest and time to spend with friends and families. So I think that's more aligned for the motion picture and TV community. And then the third thing on this list is effective penalties that truly discourage the systematic elimination of meal breaks and work straight into the weekends. So yeah, you're trying to avoid the Fridays, and I guess this doesn't happen on my sets, but I guess there are sets where they pay the penalty and don't take a meal break. Yeah.
That's a Tom Cruise special, so that people can be available no matter when he's ready to walk on the set. And what they do is they pay meal penalties. It's already negotiated, and then they have 24-hour catering temps with food that just is continually fresh.
Right.
You can go anytime. And then the grip and electric departments hire extra people so that breaks can happen. But that's a Tom Cruise film with tons of money. That isn't what's happening.
No.
These little, I'm not A24 horror joints.
Oh my God.
10 people filming in Wisconsin or something. I'm not calling anybody out. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just saying it's one thing for Tom Cruise to be doing it, but it's another when it's just a low budget indie.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know what schedules you're seeing out there, but the schedules I'm seeing, everything apparently wants to shoot by September 15th, no matter how much prep is involved. So it's no. Yeah, it's crazy. And these timelines, I just don't quite get it, especially with, I'm doing a lot of experiential is kind of coming back for me, right? Believe it or not.
I know, which is amazing.
And but those timelines need to be a lot longer because those jobs take a lot more prep, but I'm still getting jobs in the door that are we want to create a pop-up blah, blah, blah in New York City, goes live early September. I'm just, I just
Well,
don't.
what about planning and zoning and
And
permits?
permits for experiential are so
Permits.
complicated. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I think
The
hopefully,
inspections alone.
I do hope that IATSE is successful in this negotiation because I think
Well, hopefully it'll trickle into,
yeah,
commercial work.
exactly.
But in the
That's what I'm
end,
hoping.
yeah, it usually does start with the TV show. And like, to be honest, to put some streaming services, there's one good one for sure, and then there's some not so great ones to work for. And I think that to put them into check, or to
Yeah.
have them understand that this is improper work practices,
Hmm.
because we're the first line as producers. We're the first line of defense. And so at some point, the producer has agreed to the type of behavior that's happening.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not blaming us. I'm just saying, like, at some point, somebody had to say, okay, I guess we're going
Yeah.
16 hours.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's a shame.
It's time for that practice to end.
Before we end it, I wanted to read the comments at the bottom of the article.
Oh, of this article.
Yes.
Oh,
So the first
let's do it.
So the first comment was from somebody that was like, good. The second comment was all talk and theatrics for the membership.
Ooh.
The third one was, well, I know, here we go. They get more involved.
And is this on Facebook or CoPros or?
No, this is Deadline at the bottom.
Oh, on the Deadline. Oh, God.
Yeah. So
okay.
The third one is, what happens if assistants don't get a livable wage? Strike? Then here's the next one. They're all anonymous, by the way.
Of course.
You can do a different job if you don't like it.
Oh,
That's
really?
a troll, I know.
Yeah.
And then here's the kicker that just came in. If the IATSE secretary treasurers weren't regularly caught stealing funds over the years, maybe they could work for the membership. IATSE is a union like the unions in Martin Scorsese's films, Mobsters.
Wow.
So
there is.
This fight, this upper level fight that we're seeing in the press, the effects really need to be felt in the membership, because the membership clearly, from these 5 comments, do not have faith in their leadership.
Yeah, and I've heard this from people in different locals. It's just like, what the hell is going on? They barely even know what a streaming service is, and they haven't worked a job in 30 years and don't know what it is like out there in the field, and how are they supposed to lead? It's pretty miraculous.
They come by and they get a cup of coffee at craft service and they're like, oh, look, a carrot, and then they leave.
You have carrots on your set?
I mean, we used to.
Well, I'm glad we solved all the world's problems with unions.
Listen, I'm always happy to talk about unions. Producers Happy Hour was created with the help of Christopher Daniels, who is a treatment designer, and he created our logo and branding.
And Kyle Puccia, who is a music composer for commercials, film, TV, and he created our show music.
This episode was edited by Eric Beals.
It sure was. Send us your voice recordings or your emails to producershappyhour@gmail.com.
And please, keep being safe out there.
Yes. We'll be back next week. But Christian, in the meantime, how do people get a hold of you directly?
SisterChristianProduces.com. And Lawrence, if they want you, how do they get you?
2 ways. voiceoflawrence.com for voiceover work. LawrenceTLewis.com for producing. Bye.
See you.